super cute. So this is our pumpkin. Isn't that stem fantastic? Here's the catch though. We're gonna do a blue pumpkin on a cream and blue background, and our stem, we're gonna paint it gold, maybe a silvery gold, and we're gonna paint all this dark part gold, and then we're gonna use seed beads to glitz that stem up. Our pumpkin leaves, blue pumpkin. I'm super excited. Hopefully it'll turn out like it is in my head. It doesn't always, but somehow, some way, we will make it work, right? This is gonna be super fun. Again, it is an 8x8 canvas. So if anybody misses this and asks, we are doing on 8x8, and it is the thicker canvas too. So let's go ahead and get our background done. Now, I always struggle, thank you, Becky, always struggle over the background. What should we do? I don't wanna do just white. I don't wanna, so I just decided to do an off-white, which is oyster, and then we're gonna use sky blue just to bring a little tiny bit of blue into the background, and we may even use our palette knife. Once we get our white on, we may use our palette knife to kind of move some things around. Oh my goodness, yes, Wendy. Oh, I'm so sad. Art is good for that. Art is good for that. So jump in and hang out and let us love on you, girl. Let us love on you. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna grab a larger brush and we're gonna get this off-white on. It's oyster. It's just not white. It's just a tinge towards cream. And we're gonna get this on and we're gonna just push it on really fast. We're gonna get it on really quickly. I'm actually gonna just squeeze it right onto my canvas so that it can stay wet long enough for, I have to get a clean plate, stay wet long enough for us to add a little bit of blue in there. Hello, Tina. Hello, everybody. Hey, Kathy. Hey, Jane. I'm sorry, Bernice. So let's just get this on. Of course, every time I squirt it directly onto the canvas, I end up with too much paint. That's okay, because this has got some ick in it. So let's flick that off. We don't want that in our painting. So we're gonna just get this on as quickly as possible so that we can also add a little blue wet on wet. We don't want our cream color to dry. We started quick, didn't we? My stomach's screaming at me. Steve won't feed me. He said, you don't need to eat. If he obviously has his earphones on or he'd be fussing right now. He'd be saying, I didn't say that. All right, so we're gonna get the excess off. That has some dried up icky in it too. So I wanna get all that off. I'm gonna be in trouble for flicking wet paint into my trash can by the powers that be. They're gonna be like, what are you doing? So let's just get this on, move it around a little. I'm gonna pick up that and that. I just don't make paints the way they used to. All right, so while this is all nice and wet, I am gonna take my little plates. Get him, Amy. And this is sky blue. I'm gonna put just a line, not a dot, but kind of a line of that sky blue onto my plate. And I'm gonna grab a palette knife. I got my whole set up here. So I'm gonna grab just a palette knife and I'm gonna get a little bit of that blue on the back side of my palette knife. And I believe I'm just gonna come down. I just wanna add maybe on the edges and just a little bit of, let's hit our edges first. A little bit of that blue here and there. My canvas, I just noticed, I should have peeked at it before we got started, but it is definitely like sinking in the middle. So let me see if I water. Nope, I don't have water. Okay. So if your canvas, if you're about to start painting and you see that your canvas is like sunken in the middle, what you can do is flip it over, put a little water on the inside of your canvas. Not too much. Just put some water there and let that dry, and that will tighten up your canvas. I'm just gonna go for it because it's too late now. So I'm just gonna get some on the back, and we'll just bring a few little streaks down. That'll work. And down here at the bottom, I'm gonna go the opposite way, just about that 1/2 inch. We're gonna go left to right down here. That's where a pumpkin's gonna sit. So we'll bring that, oh, that canvas is terrible. We'll bring that left to right. All right, good enough. Let's get this dry. Maybe it'll help. I'm gonna dry the inside as well. Maybe it'll help tighten that canvas up. So first thing I'm gonna do is where I wet it, I'm gonna hit it with a little bit of heat and hopefully tighten that up a little. I'm glad I could give you a little secret, Alicia. Let's get the top. I don't always, Rita, I do love the gallery wrap canvas, especially for small. Let me turn this on low. Especially for smaller canvases, I like to be able to sit them up. So I do like to use them for the most part, but sometimes, like if I'm doing lives for you guys and I'm giving away my art a lot, sometimes I'll just use whatever I have on hand. Doesn't matter what it is. So I'm gonna get this dry and we'll trace our cute little pumpkin on. Hey, Carol. Yeah. The water does help. Thank you, Lori. All right, so I don't know if you can tell, but because I rushed this, can you see the divots here? So what has happened, because I didn't let it dry naturally, I wet the inside and then I forced it dry. So it's kind of puckering here. We're not gonna worry about it. This is a demonstration and we're probably gonna give this little piece away. So I'm not gonna worry too much about it. It'll all work out in the wash, I promise. So let's go ahead, let's let this cool off just for a second. Kind of just a messy. I want to make sure that's not hot. Okay, so here is our pumpkin, and I'm going to stretch him down. I have him, the body of the pumpkin, a little shifted left so that we could have this big old fancy stem on him. And I'm going to bring that pumpkin almost down to the bottom as well. So just a smidge of him is sticking up, and then we'll add some color down there. So now I'm gonna just tape it on the left side so we don't wiggle too much. I don't know where my other little piece of tape went, but that'll be all right. And I'm gonna use my tracing graphite paper and a stylus to transfer my image to my canvas. So let's go ahead and get that done. I'm just gonna start with my pumpkin itself. So I'm just gonna come around, and this is a warbly pumpkin. It's not like got perfect little sections. It's one of those pumpkins that's like the stepsister of pumpkins. It's all beat up and crooked and hanging off the edge apparently, and imperfect, just like the rest of us. So we're gonna add our little sections. Now I'm going to come in, I'm going to start with my stem. I'm just going to trace, let's trace this little edge. And I'm going to come down this side. Then where my pumpkin, where the stem kind of crawls down into those sections, we'll come around and around. And we'll come onto this side of our stem. Like I'm just walking you through the tracing, like you can't see. And then we have a manglio leaf. And another manglio leaf. And I think we're ready, but before we untape, we're gonna take a peek and make sure we got it all. Let's see. Looks good to me. Let's check it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have our stem going 2 directions, 2 leaves. We got a little bit of stem, a little bit of stem. I'll just bring that down. I didn't trace that all the way. Let me see if I can, we'll ad-lib that. Tearing it up. And we're gonna get to painting. Let's see, I think what we'll get started with, I brought like so many blues to the table because I wasn't 100% sure what blue I wanted. And they're all kind of my kind of blues, but I feel like this one's too green, so we're gonna ditch him. And I feel like this one's too blue. This is kind of a happy medium. This is our desert turquoise. Of course it is, one of my all-time favorites. So I think we're gonna stick with this desert turquoise. So let me grab a plate. I know I've just picked one up. I threw it on the ground again. Ouch. We're gonna grab a plate and I'm gonna put 1 coat of just this blue onto my pumpkin sections. And then we'll do a 2nd coat while adding in some detail work. So let's just get our base colors on first. We're gonna base coat the blue on the pumpkin. We're gonna do a metallic, either a silver or gold, or maybe a smidge of both, and then green on the leaves. So let me get started on the pumpkin. Desert turquoise. Let me grab a brush. And I am using, oh, that's got red paint in it. Let me swish that around. I did a pink pumpkin, the last pumpkin I did, which was probably 3 weeks ago, Joanne. That's how long it's been since I've been live. I did a pink pumpkin a couple weeks ago, but I feel certain there'll be another one in our future. Thank you, Melissa. Okay, so I'm gonna just go in and start bringing in this blue. Oh my goodness, I love this blue. Make sure you cover, I got a little too much water in my brush still. Make sure you're covering your tracer lines when you are painting. If you're tracing your image, just make sure that when all is said and done that your tracing lines are gone. All right, so there's section 1. And just gonna keep going. This is gonna be so pretty. Y'all know I love me some blues. Love me some blues. Now I know some of you are probably thinking, why don't you just paint the whole thing? Why are you painting it section by section? But For me, it just is easier to paint them in sections because then I can leave a little bit of space, or just your method of application helps you keep in mind where your sections are, so you don't kind of lose those sections in your painting. So I feel like it helps me be mindful of that. But if you like painting the whole thing all at once, then you do you. Firm believer of that. I don't ever feel like there's a right or a wrong way to do any artwork. Whatever way you do it is the right way. Takes the fun out of it if somebody's trying to boss you around, aren't they? All right, it is hot. I'm burning up. Could be me, could just be me, or it could be this room. Stephen Gray.
Yes, sir.
Will you hit that air a little? I am dying.
You're freezing?
I'm hot. I'm having heat issues. And my paint's drying really fast too. It's warm. It's warm in here. Thank you. He woke up, y'all. You didn't hear me a few minutes ago. Right, so let's go in, making sure I'm not getting the blue paint in my stem where it's kind of going down into my pumpkin. All right. What y'all having for supper tonight? I'm thinking we cooked the last 2 nights. So I'm thinking I either want a steak. I'm jonesing for some red meats because y'all know I've been dieting and I've lost a good bit of weight, but I am really on fire for some red meat right now, or sushi. That's what my body's telling me. Feed me sushi. Thank you, Joanne. It is a wonderful color. It's called Desert Turquoise by Americana, and it is definitely one of my favorite colors. Thank you for the stars, Rita. All right, so let's get this last section. Then we'll start adding, we'll do the green, and we'll decide what we're gonna do. On the stem, we're gonna do seed beads. We're gonna jazz it up, not do a brown pumpkin stem. We're gonna make it fancy. All right. See how you can still see sections? Dixie, we will be open next month. We're doing a Christmas tree challenge in October, and we'll be open for new members during that challenge. So we would love to have you. And you're gonna love that Christmas tree challenge too. Okay, so for our green, I am going to grab, because I forgot my green, I'm gonna grab, I think you're right. Let's see. Hang on, I forgot my green, so I need to get it. Green is that. Hauser Light Green. Yes, let's use that. So Hauser Light Green, one of my favorite greens. We use this a lot. We're gonna do our first coat with that. London Broil. Oh my gosh, Devin, that sounds spectacular. So we'll get a little bit of that green on. And I have 2 leaves. I don't know why I always say that wrong, just like a country bumpkin. And we're gonna paint those leaves, just that first ground coat, and then we'll fancy it up a little. We're just doing the coloring book portion right now. Then we'll get fancy. Turn it around like a merry-go-round. Make it a little wiggly so it's not a perfectly shaped leaf. And we'll do the same on the other side. Let's turn that one this way and get the fat part first. Ooh. Brandy, if you are a member of the Just a Little Bit and you want to join the big group, just send us an email. We would love to accommodate you. So you can send Sherry an email at info@artshattered.com and she will make that happen for you. So now we have our leaves. So guys, let's look at color for our stem because I think our paint color is going to make a difference. Do y'all think we should go with a gold on our stem or champagne? Here's our options. We can do a blue seed bead stem, and that's kind of an iridescent blue. Or we can do this bright gold or kind of this champagne crystal color. Let's see. No, the subscription box won't be open again until next year. We're talking about the membership. The membership will be open in October and the subscription box won't be open until spring. Yeah, the subscription box is a lot. Gold, 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 champagne, gold, champagne. Let's say we need a tiebreaker. Y'all want me to put a little bit of it out? Champagne, gold. Let's put a little, nobody is going for the blue. So we're gonna put it down. And let's just lay out a little of both because we can always, use one later. Oh, Rhonda likes the blue. Okay, so this is what the gold would look like. Oh my goodness, y'all. That is really cool. So that would be our gold. I'll hold it up close. I'm gonna put a little bit of champagne on. And then we'll see what we like. So this is the champagne. We'll put some down into the blue a little. All right. Gold, I'm gonna hold it there still. Y'all are about 50-50, y'all killing me. I think, let's go with the gold. We're gonna go for the gold. We'll use the champagne in another one. Guys, I promise you this will not be our last pumpkin. Ask anyone. I will be doing pumpkins out the Yahoo for the next 6 weeks. Every time I go live, it'll be a pumpkin. Because I love my pumpkins. Love, love, love. Okay, so we're gonna do the gold. I'm just gonna scoop this out into my little cup so we don't lose it. And so I'm gonna paint my stem so that it reflects the gold. I'm gonna paint it with this metallic gold by DecoArt. It's called Splendid Gold. Yeah, it does pop, doesn't it, Daniela? Does make it pop. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna get a smaller brush. Let me grab one. I might need 2 for this. We use this one and let's see. We'll grab these 2. All right, so I'm gonna get a liner brush for this, okay? That's just a pointy pencil shaped brush. And we're gonna paint this entire stem with the gold. So I'm gonna start down here and we'll just bring in, oh yeah, oh yeah. Y'all are good deciders. Brandy, when I do larger canvases, I either do that or I just put a stabilizer in the back until the canvas is cured. Something to keep it from sinking. I haven't done a large piece in a long time. I'm super excited to do one very soon. But when I was selling my stuff a lot, I did a lot of larger pieces, and that's what I would do. Mostly because I'm cheap and I didn't want to put the resin on the back because it kind of brings the cost up. But either way works, and you know, maybe try both ways. Try using like a cardboard stabilizer and then try the resin and see which one works best for you. Thank you, Patty, for the stars, and I loved Naples. The only thing I'll say is we were, I don't know if we were downtown or not, but we were close to the water, and we were in the Fifth Avenue area, and I will tell you this about Naples. All they have are Italian restaurants. I was so sick of Italian food. By the time I got home, I thought, oh my Lord, I do not want Italian food for a while because there are 20 Italian restaurants. Oh, Lee, I'm sorry. I hope you're doing better. So let's get this done. I'm missing some questions, but Amber, I did metal leaf in our membership page last night, and I did not have that problem. Now, I will tell you this, sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. I did not have that problem in our art piece last night with the resin sissing over the leaf, but it's kind of hold your breath and pray for the best. If it does, best thing to do if you're using metal leaf is just kind of micromanage it a little. And, you know, for the first 30 minutes and just keep torching it, you know, not a lot, but, you know, just normal torching to make sure it doesn't do that. But sometimes it just happens. And here's the kicker. I don't even care. A lot of people will go back if it does that and re-resin over the top to get rid of some of that like separation, and I do not. I learned a long time ago that I cannot control resin, so I don't even try. I don't concern myself terribly much, and I've never had anyone complain and say, I'm not buying this piece because there's a divot in the resin. Look how cute that is, y'all. Oh my goodness. That is so cute. Thank you, Kathy. Look at that. Is that not pretty? I love that blue and gold together. Okay, so now it is time to do the fancy stuff. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I have my same blue on my plates for, I'm trying to see. I wanna balance this darker. Give me 1 sec. I'm gonna bring out big guns. All right, so we're gonna use this blue again, the same blue that we already started with. Yes, I will post this, Joanne. And I am gonna use this tropical blue as my shadow, and I'm gonna put some white on my plate as my highlights, okay? I use the best resin possible, so I think it is just, that's my opinion anyway. It's just a crapshoot. Metallics want to resist, Anything metal wants to resist, so it's really kind of a crapshoot. All right, so we have the original blue, which was the desert turquoise. I'm gonna add some tropical blues. We got the tropics and the desert. You could also like spray it with an acrylic sealer. Put a little sealer over it, and then that would help with the sissing. Okay, so I'm just gonna start in the middle. Give me a good frame of reference. Thank you, Elaine. And I'm gonna start with that same exact color again. And I'm just gonna second coat, and we're gonna work kind of fast so that, oh, I got too much water in my brush again. So that I can work wet on wet with my shadows and highlights. So I'm gonna second coat this fairly quickly. I don't want to mess up though, so slowly but quickly. Okay, so while that is wet, I'm gonna go into my darker color, and I'm just gonna hit the point of my brush with that darker color, and then I'm gonna go back and forth and blend that darker color into my brush so I'm not applying a blob of color, all right? And up here, right at the top, I am going to bring in some of that dark right along the top and the left edge. We need a little more than that. So I'm gonna bring this over so you can see. Put the blue on, go back and forth to blend it in, and then bring it down. Left side of your pumpkin. And look, guys, if you're not great at blending, don't stress it. I'll show you another way too. So just get it on the corner, blend it out, and just put it on, okay? I'm a little more meticulous probably than I have to be, but yeah, don't stress about it too terrible much. Just want a darker side and a lighter side. Dirty brush still, going into the white. Go back and forth to blend it, and I'm gonna do the same thing on the opposite side. So I'm gonna take that white and just bring it around the opposite side of my pumpkin. So now what I can do, if I wanna kind of be a little messy, is go back in the white again, go back and forth, and kind of just do this, right? So you're not trying to be perfect. All right, let's go again. Just get it on there. All right, so that's one section done. See how that section now pops. Oh, that will look beautiful, Julie. So now let's go to the next section, which is this section here. I haven't rinsed my brush yet. I'm just going right back in. Thank you, Rebecca, to my original color. And we're gonna second coat real quick. Second coat that next pumpkin section. Because we want to work wet on wet, so if we dilly-dally too much, it'll start to dry and it won't blend as well. So if you're struggling with shading and highlighting, that could be part of the problem too, because you definitely want your paint layer to be wet. All right, so same brush. I'm just gonna offload because I got a lot of paint on there. Just get a little bit of that excess off. I'm gonna scoot over so y'all can see. I'm gonna go into the darker blue. We're gonna go back and forth to blend it in so you're not making a hard line. And on the left side, just like this one, on the left side, I'm gonna bring that line down. And let's just be messy. How about that? Dab it in the blue, brush it through, and let's just get it on. Let's get it on. Be a little faster this way. Just get that blue on. Be a little messy. All right, while it's all still wet, dirty brush, go into your white, swish back and forth a little, blend in that white in, and come over to the opposite side, and just do the same thing. Get a little bit of white, be a little messy, swish it on, and voila, 2 sections. See the difference in these and these? Huge difference. It really, really, really makes it pop. So let's do that last section on that side. Still haven't rinsed my brush. The dirtier the better at this point. We're gonna come up here. We're gonna second coat that last section on the left. Again, if you see any of those tracer lines, make sure you're covering those up. All right, I'm just gonna offload a little. I'm not gonna rinse, I'm just gonna get any excess. And I'm gonna hit my dark color, swish, and again, let's just bring it around. We won't do it the Cindy crazy way. Let's do it messy. Just get it on and bring it down. A little bit more, blend it in a little, come down. I want that bottom to be dark. Now I'm gonna offload, grab a little white, go back and forth, and we're gonna hit that opposite side with just a little bit of that white. Just like that, hang on, let me bring that up just a little. Voila, left side done. Now do you see how just adding that dark and light on opposite sides makes that side of the pumpkin look super 3-dimensional? Love it. Still haven't rinsed. Let's go in and let's do this piece. Get her done. Second coat that original color. This is pretty, ain't it? Y'all stay tuned. We might be giving this away tomorrow. I enjoyed today's little giveaway. That was kind of fun. Really didn't expect that much attention, that much reaction, but I totally enjoyed that. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna go into that dark color, blend it into your brush a little, and let's just get it on there. Let's don't be terribly worried about perfection. Let's get it on. A little more. Let's come around that bottom. All right. I'm just gonna messy get it in there, offload. Let's go a little white. So it's just rinse and repeat on all the sections. I don't think so. Nobody's trying to call me that, I know of. Freezing and skipping. Well, that's probably the interweb. Could be my interweb, could be your interweb. Could be everybody's interweb. A little bit of white. Voila. Let me plug in my phone, that might help. If that's a problem, I should be full battery though. So one more section. Look how pretty that is. That is gorgeous. Oh, I put my brush in the water just at the wrong time because it was just getting good. It's so dirty. All right, let's get that second coated, this last little section. Too much water still. These colors are really great together. I'm totally digging the gold. All right, second coat on. Let's grab some of the dark. And let's go around. We won't micromanage that too much. Just get it on. A little messy. And a little white. Let's get that last bit on the outside edge. All right, let me get a little bit more of that dark blue in there. Look at that. Y'all, that is spectacular. Now here's what I'm gonna do. Because the center piece always, to me, is like, whoa. So I'm gonna offload all this paint off onto my paper towel till it's almost clear. I'm gonna get a little bit of that white. I'm gonna kind of brush it on and see how I'm kind of getting it all on one side. I wanna brush it on one side. And I'm gonna take the flat side of that brush where all that paint is, and I'm just gonna slightly brush, barely touching that center point of that pumpkin. And it just gives it a little bit of that center shine. All right. All right, so now let's do our leaves. The pumpkin is spectacular. Let's do the leaves. So we are going, I'll use that same brush. Let's just get it rinsed. Yeah, Rita, I think these are gonna be, these are gonna be probably good sellers for you. All right, so we're gonna use that same green, the Hauser light green. I'm just gonna get a little bit more. And we're gonna basically do the same thing to our leaves. So let's get that second coat of that original green back on, and we're gonna work quickly so that we can do our shading and highlighting. Make these leaves pop too. So while that's wet, I'm gonna offload the excess. I have another green. This is avocado. It's a darker green. We're just gonna get a tiny dot of that. And we are gonna dip our tip in. We'll do this messy too. And we're on the left side, we're just gonna go in and add some bits of that darker green. Just kind of be a little messy, all right? Let's see, a little smidgy right there where it meets the gold stem. And I'm gonna offload, I'm gonna grab a little white. We're gonna blend that in because we don't want it to come off white. We want it to be the palest of green on the other side. And just add that little bit there. And it kind of makes that leaf three-dimensional. Right? So look at that first leaf. Super cool. Really started to pop now. Oh, okay, I need to take a breath. So dirty brush, going right back into that green again. Let's get that second coat of green on this other leaf. Leaves. I need a smaller brush, hang on. I like the tip of that leaf to be small. There we go. we're gonna do the same thing. We'll offload a little bit of that green. We're gonna grab some of the dark green, swish it in, and let's start at this hump and just kind of come around and add to the underside. Dab in, brush it out, and just hit the bottom side. I'm gonna get a smaller brush because that little tip is super small. So just bring some of that darker in on one side of your leaf. Now I'm gonna grab some of that white, just smush it in while this paint is still wet. We're gonna hit the top of that leaf. And we'll hit over here, kind of hit that top because we don't want to leave anybody out, any leaf parts. And voila, check it out. So there are our leaves and our pumpkin sections. So cute. Yay. Okay, so we are gonna add gold beads to our stem, but I can still see some tracer line and I still have some gold on my plate. So I'm gonna hit that gold paint again, just really quick, just to make sure that there is no tracer markings and we have a nice opaque undercoats. So we'll just hit this one more time, just real quick. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just eyeball and make sure any tracer lines covered up. Ooh, wet. And we're gonna get this dry. We're gonna do a little bit of shadow underneath our pumpkin, just so he's not floating in air. People like to get me for that. And just second coat these little areas. Voila. And I think that is all the painting except, I think I'm gonna use this dark green that's already on my plate. And I'm gonna grab a flat brush that has red in it. Hang on. Right, Amber? Get off my back. I'm not trying to be professional over here. Okay, so I'm gonna just take a flat brush. This is like a 1/4 inch brush. I'm gonna go into that darker green, okay? So just on the corner, and then I'm gonna flip back and forth just to blend a little bit of that color in to my bristles so I'm not making a hard line. And I'm gonna come down here where my pumpkin is sitting, and I'm gonna hit that right underneath. I got not enough water in my brush, hang on. A while ago, I had too much. I want it to be a little wet. We're gonna just hit that white canvas area under there. And then we'll blend it out. We'll come up just a little higher, about a 1/2 inch. We'll blend that out to the right. And do it again. A little dark green. Blend it through. We'll come over to this side. We'll come up about a 1/2 inch and then just pull it through. So now our pumpkin is sitting on a is sitting on something and not just floating in the air. And I don't need to be micromanaging that. All right, look at there, so cute. Thank you, Rita. All right, so let's get this dry so we can move on to the real fun parts. Let's get this stuff taken care of. I wanna make sure I keep my colors where, okay, so I got 2 greens, 2 blues, then that blue and that blue. We got gold. I did not use any of this. I brought a bunch of stuff to the table. So let's get this dry. I can't wait to put those gold beads on. I think it's dry. Look what I did, y'all. I got some icky on that side, so I'm gonna take a little bit of water. Let's see if we can get it off. I don't know where my little scrubbies are. While it's cooling off, we'll try to clean this up. Gina would kill me because my little container of baby, or not baby wipes, but my art wipe box is empty, and she's sent me replacements, but they're not sitting here, so she's probably fussing at me. All right, we got that taken care of. That feels good. It feels a little wet still right here, so I'm gonna hit it one more time with, oh, that's funny, Devin. I see what you did there. I see what you did. Okay, so before we add our beads and all that fun stuff, I'm actually gonna use a little bit of glue here, but before we do all that, we're gonna do the fun part too. This is a pen from, thank you, Georgia. This is a pen from Hobby Lobby. The brand is called Master's Touch. It's a graphic illustration marker, and it is really good for lining your artwork, especially if you're a little older like me and you got shaky hands. You can do some fine detail lines without having to be concerned about making a hot mess, which is what I could do sometimes. So let's go ahead, and I'm gonna outline my stem. And I'm gonna use, y'all know I like to use short strokes, so I'm just gonna use some short strokes and outline, outline all the details. We're gonna come up and round. And you notice too that I'm not trying to perfectly follow the line. I like it messier that way. I like it to just be a little messy. You do you though. So I'm gonna come around here, do the same thing with my leaf. Just real squiggly, messy strokes. And it's easier to do that if you hold your pen here, not here, because then you tend to be trying to draw. You want to hold it back at the bottom, and that helps you do looser marks, okay? So now we're going to come around our pumpkin. Right in where we had those dark separation lines. And you're gonna highlight with your pen all your little pumpkin sections. Be wiggly, Be short stroke. Don't try to do it all in one fell swoop. And I'm going to also just give myself little table marks. Just a few little marks. Okay, good job. Good job. Now, next, we are going to use one of my newest favorite things. Y'all want to see that close up? So it really just makes a difference in detail to do those pen marks. Just love it. It's like my favorite part of finishing up an art piece. All right, so looks like we're skipping around too, isn't it? So this is a glue pen. I love to use Aleene's clear tacky glue for gluing roly things down, okay? And they started making this in a pen. So we're gonna use that to glue just a thin layer of beads. I'm just gonna make a tiny little glue line. And then we're gonna add a second layer after we resin because I want this to be generously loaded. And I don't think I can do it all in one fell swoop. So we're gonna add a little glue. I'm not overdoing it because I don't want it to be forever. So just little glue circles, just to hold in the beads till we resin. And then, surprise, surprise, we're gonna add more. Plus, it's easier to do it this way, especially when you have these little fine stem lines. Okay, so now here's what I'm going to do. I am going to grab, let's put this away. Love this thing. This thing is spectacular. All right, so I'm gonna dump some of these beads into my little baby cup. And I'm gonna do my very best to keep these beads in check. I'm gonna add a layer of beads on top of my glue. As best I can. Don't worry about it. Here's the good part. If you're doing this at home, add your beads on top, kind of press them into the glue, and then walk away for 30 minutes or so and let your glue dry. We don't have that luxury in a Facebook Live, so I'm gonna have to force nature. I'm gonna have to do things the hard way, but that's okay too. And I need more. So we're gonna give it a minute. Just push some around here. We're gonna give it a minute. Let's pick up some of those. Let me just add some more. The top don't want to come off. Let's add a few more beads. So, and if you have the time, if you're doing this at home, just walk away at this point and let that glue dry. Again, like I said, we don't have that luxury. I'm going to use my cup to kind of press those beads into the glue. We're going to give it a minute or two to at least grab a hold. And then we're going to take off the excess and we're going to put it in a plate. We're just gonna dump it off, the excess, into a plate, and then we'll add a second layer of beads once we do our resin. I wanted it to be very generously beaded, so we'll give this a minute. I can't dry it because it will blow beads everywhere. Hey, Carol. Have a good day, Kathy. Hopefully the replay won't freeze. So we're gonna give this a minute. I'm just gonna futz around. If anybody has a question, I'd be glad to answer. Give that glue a few minutes to just grab a hold of these beads. Then we're gonna resin. And I think yeah, I can do that. We may add, I do have some Starfire, just a little bit of Starfire that I'll kind of want to put on around my pumpkin. I also brought some bubbles, and I might add this too. So yeah, let's set that up, and I'm gonna mix a 1/2 ounce of resin. This is an 8 by 8. I'm hoping that that will be plenty. I did a little bit of a larger piece last night with 1 ounce of resin, and it was perfect. So I'm hoping that I don't mess this up, because we're not gonna have a lot, mostly just beads. So we're gonna do a 1/4 ounce of hardener and a 1/4 ounce of resin, and keep our fingers crossed, right? Keep our fingers crossed. I have not auctioned my pieces. I have given away pieces for a fundraiser auction, but I've never actually auctioned off any of my pieces. No. It's a great idea though, especially around the holidays. All right, so let me grab my gloves. Thank you, Catherine. So we'll get gloved up, pour our resin, mix it up, and then we'll dump off the excess. Then we'll add some more back and some other things. All right. Let me get this on. This glove don't want to come on. All right, so we'll start with hardener. We're gonna do a 1/4 ounce of hardener in my little cup. Ooh, slow down, sister. That's not much. Play catch up. All right, I think that might do it. Let me look at it from a different angle. Yeah, that's good. 1/4 ounce. And we're gonna do a 1/4 ounce of the resin. Let's get that. Go slow, Cindy. Don't get ahead of yourself. Let's stop and let it play catch up. I haven't finished it, Rennie. I'll tell you why. Because I'm a weirdo and I don't really like the way it looks right now. I know it's unfinished, but I didn't like the direction it was going in, so I just walked away from it. Hopefully within the next few weeks, I will find my way back to that and we'll take a look at it. So yeah, it looks terrible right now. It's a hot mess, just like me. Okay, so let's stir up. We've got mixed up in total a 1/2 ounce of resin. So we're gonna just stir. And if anybody has any questions, well, hey Cynthia, we will answer those while I'm stirring, because we're going to do this for 3 minutes, very slowly. And I want to remind you, because it is going to start getting cold again soon, and I want to remind you that mixing resin cold creates bubbles, okay? So make sure that you keep your resin in a warm place. Because one of the biggest things with bubbles in your resin is mixing in the cold. And Art Resin, on their website, they have a whole spiel about cold weather and resin. So we're gonna stir. I am gonna resin the entire thing, yes. It just looks nicer that way, in my opinion. I don't resin the sides, Melissa, but I do resin the entire top. Got a little debris. Stir, stir before I get in trouble. So we're gonna just slowly stir. You don't wanna beat it to death. That creates bubbles too. You want your room to be room temperature, not freezing to death. And you're gonna stir slowly. Scrape the sides of your cup, scrape the bottom so that you got all that stuff good and mixed and it doesn't end up a sticky mess because nobody wants that, do they? Nobody. This is gonna be so pretty. I did a Christmas tree challenge with glass all laid out, never resined. How do I resin now? Ooh. Debbie, what I would do if it's not glued down, I would just take it off and, you know, clean it. I would wash it if it's got dust all in it. I would wash it off, let it dry out really good for a couple of days so that you know there's no water moisture still in it, and then apply the glass again. If it's glued down, you might can just lightly blow any dust off. And if your resin is not yellow, should still be good to use. Emmy, I don't cover mine. I should, but I don't. But you can use like a box. Just make sure whatever you use to flip over it, like one of those plastic under the bed storage boxes or even a cardboard box, just make sure that it's dust free on the inside, because what you don't want to do is flip something over on top of your art piece and then have dirt and dust fall into your art. It's actually glass and wallpaper. So I have thank you, Catherine. I have, my table is an old door. So we laid wallpaper down on top of the old door. And then, well, my cats are not in my studio, so I don't have to worry about that. So, yeah, and then I have a glass top. That way I can just scrape up whatever falls on there. So yeah, but a food tent would be great, Irene. So I'm gonna dump very carefully all the excess. I just don't want them flying all over the place. Oh, so get all that excess, get it in our plate so we can reuse. So that looks pretty good. I'm gonna get that bead off. So we'll resin it down. I'm gonna add a little bit of Starfire too. We'll resin all this, then we'll add a few bits here and there, or a mouse. Oh my God, don't remind me of that. That's terrible. That's terrible. Yeah, that happened. That happened. I love this table, Joanne, because it's big. So I'm gonna take a little bit of this Starfire. It's the kind of bottom of the barrel. It's probably been in my bin forever because it's kind of got little bits. I'm gonna put just a little bit in a couple of pumpkin sections. Not a lot. And then we may sprinkle some of those, that one's too big. Some of those blue beads in there. Let's just get a little here and there. Not excessive. And I like my glass to be a little heavier at the bottom and then kind of disappear towards the top. So it's kind of fat and then skinny. This is Starfire crushed glass. We sell this in our store. We'd be happy to send you some. Let's see. So I'm just gonna add a few more right here and then we'll move on. Yeah, I agree with the blue beads. I think we're definitely gonna do that. This is just gonna give it some dimension. All right, I'm over it. I'm over it. Let me dump this back in. You may add some bubbles too. Let's get this. Oh, All right, so let's go ahead. I'm gonna hit these beads first. Get those starting to set really nice. So we can add more to it. I'm digging this. I'm so digging this. Y'all made a good choice in the gold. It's hard for me to make decisions sometimes. I feel like because I do, for all the workshops that we create for the membership group and doing stuff here and now the box, my brain is like, I don't know what to do. So thanks for helping me make decisions. Really is helpful. All right, now we'll get this glass covered. I want to also make sure I don't run out of resin. Might have put too much glass on. We're going to cover all this glass first, and then whatever's left we'll use to spread around the rest of our canvas. All right, so I feel like that's all covered. A little dollop there. So I'm gonna take the rest, a little bit of debris, and I'm gonna kind of divvy it out. I'm gonna save a little bit in my cup to put over anywhere that needs it. All right, so I'm just gonna use my fingers. I have my gloves on, so I'm just gonna use my fingers to move this around. That way I'm not bumping my little gold beads and moving them around where I don't want them, displacing them. I don't want them displaced. All right, so displace that. Don't worry, we'll fix anything that we kind of get out of place. We'll fix that before we leave. So let's spread it around. Guys, this is probably just pushing not enough resin. So y'all know I'm tight with my resin, and a lot of you guys tend to use a little bit more than me. So if you're doing this, you might want to mix a little extra, maybe 3/4 instead of just a half, because I am going to be barely making it. As long as my glass is stuck down, I don't mind. Around my edge. All right. I am gonna make it, but it's tight. It's tight. And I do have a smidge left, but I want to save it for the end. All right, let me peek and make sure everything is covered around my little stem. Down at the bottom. All right, so we're gonna hit this with our heat gun. That's the gun, the heat thing that we used to, what is that? To dry our paint as well. So I'm gonna grab that up. And this is what we're gonna use to pop any bubbles that we have, okay? So we're gonna use it on low air and about medium heat. And we're gonna just run it over, keep it moving. And you're gonna run it over the top of your canvas. And that is gonna pop any heat bubbles, any air bubbles. And it also warms up your resin and helps it kind of flow. So a lot of times if you have some little divots, like I can see one right there, I'm gonna have to do something about it. If you have a little divot, just the process of heating this resin up kind of helps get rid of those. So let me do this. I have a divot right here and right here. Okay, so let's add more of this. Just a little. Yeah, Rhonda, I used to do that all the time too, but I don't make like mass quantities of art like I used to, so it's a little harder. All right, so I'm just gonna tap out of this container. I wanna hit like right in the middle of the fat part of my stem. And if one goes astray, we'll be able to just grab it up with our pick. But I wanna make sure that the fat part of that stem has a little more dimension than just the stemmy part itself. I wanna make sure that's kind of fat. That is spectacular. All right, so that's good. I'm gonna use my little pick. You can use a toothpick. This is a bead pick that Lou gave me. And any bead that has gone astray and it is trying to escape the farm, you can just grab it up and move it around to where you want it. Oh my gosh, y'all, this is spectacular. Now, what I'm gonna do, I had a little tiny bit of resin left. What I'm gonna do is scrape that up, and where I just put more resin, I'm gonna add right on top just to make sure all that stays. So we'll run, let that drizzle. Come on, these cups have little ridges inside that make me crazy. All right, so let's just kind of drizzle where we added more beads. Get back where you're supposed to be. All right. I think we're good. I have a runaway, so we're gonna take care of that real quick. Get your honey back where you're supposed to be. And what do y'all think about blue beads? Oh, Amy, that's hilarious. That is so funny. What do y'all think about adding a few of these? Yes? I say yes too. I'm gonna dump a few into a little cup because I don't know why, I just feel like I have more control. And because there's less in there, I'm always afraid I'm just gonna dump the whole thing. So I'm gonna add a few and then we'll see if we like them. Oh God, yes, we do. Oh Lord, oh my goodness, yes. I'll show you this close up in just a second. Even where there's no Starfire, I'm gonna add a few beads. Uh-oh, I got a stray. Oh my Lord, y'all. Heavens to Betsy, as my mama would say. Let me put the top back on this. That's just enough. I have a few runaways. We're just gonna scoot him over. I don't mind him being a little outside the line, but we don't want him right, one little thing right in the middle. So let me show you what we have now. Yes. Oh my goodness. Y'all, look. Can y'all see the blue beads added? I'm trying to wait for my... Yeah, these are, I usually try to get them done, Gary, within 24 hours. It won't be done already because I never know what I'm gonna do. So yes, here's what I use. So the gold is, these are from Hobby Lobby and they are called, it's Bead Treasures, and I believe these are on sale this week. Silver lined gold. And the blue ones are called seafoam lined crystal. So those are the two that we used, and the Starfire glass from the Art Shattered page. The glass, Lou, comes from artshattered.com. Becky, if you or Catherine can put artshattered.com to buy glass. And this thing came from a craft store. It's just one of the, go to the bead department, but you can totally just use a toothpick, okay? This came from, it's like a beading tool, but you could totally just use a toothpick. Thank you, Georgia. But glass comes from artshattered.com, and these came from Hobby Lobby. You should go because they're half price right now. Yay. These are 8/0. So they're the next to the smallest size. Yeah, Christmas is half off too. So check it out. Is this not gorgeous? And it doesn't even give it justice. I promise it's prettier even than you think it is. Love this. So let's turn up our camera.